Okay, so getting right into it. We are going deep on a topic a lot of you have requested. Infidelity, specifically at work.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of hesitant to even say the name of the article we're using as jumping off point, but
Yeah.
it is called How to Know If She Is Cheating with a Coworker.
Right.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of like actual red flags and signs and all that,
Sure.
maybe we should kind of back up and talk about why this even happens in the first place. Like,
Exactly.
I don't think anybody goes to work like looking to have an affair.
Right. Exactly. So,
What's going on here?
yeah, and it's a multifaceted thing, right? Like when you think about the human need to be connected and to belong and to be affirmed, right?
Yeah.
Like those are very deep human needs. And sometimes maybe those needs aren't being met in the primary relationship.
Right.
And then you have a situation where you have, a coworker who sees you and hears you and gets you.
Right.
And you share work stresses and
Totally, exciting things that are happening, wins at work, all that kind of stuff. And you're spending a lot of time together, so the lines can get blurry.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you're often spending more time with coworkers
Right.
than you are with your significant other, and even like family and
Exactly.
close friends sometimes.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're like, burning the midnight oil on some project
Yeah.
and ordering takeout and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
It can be a recipe, I guess, for trouble.
Well, it can be. And, it's funny because it's all of those ingredients that can make a really great team too, right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of bonding.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it can also lead to some
Yeah.
attraction and, then the slippery slope begins.
Right.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's more common than we might think. There was a study by the Society for Human Resource Management, and they found almost 40% of employees admitted to having engaged in a romantic relationship with a coworker.
Wow. That's a huge number. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really significant.
It is, yeah. So it's something that, I think every workplace probably has to contend with at some point.
I guess so, especially given, the number of people that we're talking about here.
Exactly.
So if it does happen, though, I mean, obviously this is like, the fallout is pretty heavy, right? I mean, you're talking about broken trust. You're talking about, hurting the person that you're supposed to be closest to.
Yeah.
But are there other consequences?
Absolutely.
Like, how does this ripple out?
Yeah, and it's not just the couple involved, obviously. I mean, you think about the rest of the workplace.
Yeah.
The rumors, the gossip.
Oh, right.
It's just not good. Then it gets into potential HR complaints, investigations, and
Oh my gosh, yes.
it can jeopardize people's careers. I've seen this happen many times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's not something to be taken lightly, that's for sure.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
So I guess, this is all very heavy.
Yeah.
So let's maybe shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about, like, okay, say you're listening to this and you're starting to feel a little bit uneasy about your partner and their relationship with a coworker.
Right.
What are some like healthy ways to address those concerns? Like how do you even start that conversation?
Well, first and foremost, communication is key.
Yeah.
But it's how you communicate, right? Like,
Okay.
it's not about, accusations or interrogation. It's
Right.
about, expressing your own feelings, using I statements.
Okay.
So, you could say something like, I've noticed you've been working late a lot recently.
Right.
And I'm feeling a bit disconnected from you. Something like that.
Okay.
So that invites a dialogue as opposed to, putting someone on the defensive right away.
Right, because it's tough. Even if you're trying to be constructive, it's hard to bring these things up.
It is.
Do you have any advice on, like, maybe navigating that sort of first hurdle?
Yeah, sometimes having a neutral third party can be really helpful. Couples counseling or therapy can provide a safe space to explore those feelings.
Right.
And even if your partner's not willing to go,
Right.
individual therapy for yourself can help you kind of manage your own anxieties,
Okay.
develop better communication patterns, that kind of thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So I know this is what everybody's waiting for.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the red flags.
Yeah.
The article does list a bunch.
In a debt.
But as we were saying before, it's not about like
Right.
jumping to conclusions based on like one little thing.
Exactly. It's all about patterns. You're looking for patterns of behavior, not,
Right.
one-off incidents.
Okay, so what are some of those potential warning signs? Keeping in mind, again, that these aren't like foolproof guarantees, but
They're just things to look for.
yeah, exactly.
So one thing that is, is pretty classic is, an increase in secrecy, especially around phone usage,
Okay.
If your partner was never really that secretive with their phone before and suddenly they are, that might be something to, pay attention to.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like what they're doing,
Right.
but more like a change from their typical behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another one is, if they were once very open and affectionate and they suddenly become withdrawn or distant, that could be a sign of something else going on emotionally.
Okay. What about like changes in appearance?
Yes. So like if, all of a sudden your partner is dressing a lot more, provocatively for work than they used to, that could be a sign that they're, trying to impress somebody. But again, you have to take it in context.
Right.
Maybe they've just started a new fitness regime and they feel great.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just, they're experimenting with a new style or something.
Right. Okay.
So, again, it's about looking at the whole picture.
Yeah, it's like putting together pieces of a puzzle. Like one piece doesn't tell you the whole story.
Exactly.
What about like work habits?
Yeah. So, consistently staying late, frequently canceling plans with you.
Okay.
Being vague about, who they're working with, those kinds of things. Those can all be potential warning signs, especially if it's a big change from their normal routine.
Right.
But again, sometimes work just gets crazy.
Yeah.
It's about trusting your gut and having those open conversations.
Okay. And I imagine like if there is an increase in like affectionate behavior with a particular coworker, that's probably a pretty glaring red flag.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely would want to take notice of that.
Yeah.
However, it's important to remember, too, that workplaces have their own social dynamics.
Right.
And so what might seem overly familiar to you might just be kind of the norm in that particular environment. So, again, it's about looking for changes that seem out of character for your partner.
Okay, so much of this, it seems, is like it really comes down to communication.
Yeah.
Communication with your partner.
Yeah.
Communicate, with yourself, like trusting your gut, paying attention.
Absolutely.
And being willing to like, even though it's hard to have those conversations. This has been really great. I guess one question I have is like, so what are some like, I don't know, proactive things that we can do to strengthen communication and trust in our relationships, just generally?
Yes.
Regardless of whether like, this is like a huge concern.
Yeah. I love that question. I think it's about fostering a culture of openness and emotional honesty in our relationships.
Okay.
Making time for each other.
Yeah.
Actively listening to each other without judgment, expressing appreciation, These small but consistent actions really, help to lay that foundation for a strong, resilient bond.
It's that saying, the best defense is a good offense.
Exactly.
Like if you're actively working on it and building that foundation, hopefully you can weather any storm.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been really insightful. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I hope all of you listening have as well. Definitely a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And we always want to hear your thoughts. So head over to our social media. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Any personal experiences you want to share?
Yeah.
Any questions you have about this?
Yeah, and any tips you might have for preventing infidelity.
Yeah.
How to build a really strong, healthy relationship.
Yeah. What are your secrets?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Absolutely.
All right. Until next time.